What's up, everyone? Happy New Year, and welcome to another episode of Outside Interference with me, the RRBG, and welcome back to the show, the Daddy Man, Mr. Earl Skakel. How are you, brother? Pew, 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 pew. Laser guns. What are you?
I'm good, man.
Is that your pyro?
Yes, Steve Stevens, the guitar player from Billy Idol. He sent me this, and Lois used it as a chew toy.
Nice.
He sent me another one. So support Steve Stevens.
Does he make those? Is that his product? Like he makes guns?
Well,
guns?
It's his thing when he does the guitar solo to Rebel Yell, one of the most iconic guitar solos from the 80s. He rubs a gun against, one of those against the guitar string, and it makes this weird noise. So it's his, gimmick, I guess.
I see. All right. Well, that's cool.
I mean, I got it for free. Being Jewish, it is cool.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have a gimmick these days, man. Show business is hard. You need gimmicks.
You ain't kidding there, man.
First, before we get started, I want to let the listeners know it's been a while since I've put out an episode, and there's a couple things going on. I just want to let the people know. Knucklehead is still an option. They're just currently taking a break because of the new year and shit got crazy. But we're actually building a new studio. February will be launching, hopefully February. That's the plan. But the space has been acquired, and we are building out studios so that the RRBG and the Outside Interference shows have different sets, and they look different because right now they all look the same, and it's kind of weird. So we're in the middle of all that, and also just I needed a mental health break for a couple weeks because it's been a rough year. 2023 was rough, but also, like I posted, the biggest year for all of us. I mean, we got to go to WrestleMania and get our own merch, you and I.
Yeah.
That was pretty wild. So it was a huge, huge year, but I needed a little break. But we're back. And with that, the world ended in AEW. We haven't talked about it. I know it's a week away. It was on Saturday, but figured I wanted to hear some of your thoughts on the things that went down.
I mean, overall, well, when it was live, I was at the Kings Edmonton Oilers game, so I texted all my wrestling friends, don't tell me anything, but you can tell me if it's good or not. So I would say all 10 of them literally texted me the same thing. It's okay.
It's okay.
And that's my review. I mean, it was, once again, we talked about this many a time. I think AEW's problem is they don't have a lot of oh my God moments. Monday Night Raw. Oh my God, The Rock came back. It was great. Even I watched. So I think, obviously, with the Devil storyline, there was a potential to have an oh my God moment, and they just didn't get it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. People and some of the insiders, some of the people that are helping with production, like some of their office people are leaving the company. There's a lot of chaos going on, but they keep saying they're doing record numbers and this, that, and the other. And people are complaining that they're posting a lot of pictures of the arenas that are half empty, but it's always hard cam side. Those places, even WWE has empty seats in that hard cam side,
Yeah, but you can definitely tell, even last night on Dynamite, that the upper tier of I forget what arena they were in. It was definitely not a
tarped off.
Well, they don't even bother to tarp at all, which WWE does. So, yeah, and Bully Ray, I think, made a very good point. They should just go to smaller arenas. It's cheaper. I think they were at the Prudential Center last night, which is where I've been there. It's where the New Jersey Devils play. It's a huge arena.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think WWE would have trouble filling. I mean, last night's Dynamite, when you compare it to Monday Night Raw, it's just AEW, it's still steps behind WWE in almost all facets.
Yeah, yeah, and you know it doesn't help that WWE is currently on like their hottest streak in terms of entertainment. People are more invested than ever in the product. The show is exciting. You don't know what's going to happen anymore, and now there's even crazier talks about what's going to happen. Potential collaborations with TNA. What was his name? Charlie Dempsey, which is William Regal's kid, went to Japan and wrestled for All Japan Pro Wrestling. So like, if they open the forbidden door at WWE now, it's just gonna destroy the only good thing that AEW had going on, which is that relationship with everyone, like in the indies, you know.
Well, it's like going back to the 100% agree. I mean, like if they take away New Japan from AEW, that's big problems. But I said my dream Devil and his henchman group was Ziggler's the Devil, Elias is like the humor bodyguard type, and then you could have the Kingdom, you could have Roderick Strong and maybe a younger guy, because Roderick Strong's over. Like I was at was it GCW? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
At Ukrainian Cultural Center a couple weeks ago, and some guy in the front had a Adam shirt.
Oh, yeah.
It was a very long card, about 4 hours, and the whole night people were yelling Adam. And
yeah, it's super over. When we were at we went to Full Gear together, and that's all people kept yelling, like Adam. It's working.
He's over, so I get having him involved. But AEW, I think, has reached a ratings plateau. So they've got to find a way to get WWE fans' eyes on the product. And you saw with Ziggler yesterday in New Japan when he went after David Finlay. It's the talk of Twitter right now. In terms of wrestling Twitter. And I can only imagine if my dream scenario had played out, that is an oh my God moment. And WWE fans would have watched last night on Dynamite. And I don't know how you feel. I mean, like AEW gets a lot of shit for their storylines not really adding up. And the Kingdom does add up in terms of the storyline. They've been, 10 years together in Ring of Honor, NXT, other places. But I've never heard those two guys get a pop before outside of Roderick Strong. No, I'm not shitting on.
No, it's true. It's true. I mean, they do get a pop when they're in Ring of Honor or whatever, like in the smaller venues. But yeah, nobody knows who they really are unless they're a big diehard Ring of Honor fan.
Yeah.
But wrestling fans are also kind of finicky. Like if it would have been Dolph and Ryan and like Elias and maybe one other WWE guy, then they would have shit on AEW for like, oh, you're just WCW taking all the ex WWE guys. Like, you know how they are. People are crazy on the internets.
Well, I do agree that at some point you got to just stop taking WWE's leftovers and guys and girls that they fired or rejects that they just didn't want anymore. But I mean, Dolph Ziggler's not a reject.
Absolutely not.
And he's still got some gas in the tank. It's not like they're getting like an older guy or girl who's just they're done. I mean, Dolph could wrestle, I think, for the next 5 years competitively. And they need the problem with the Devil thing is Adam Cole's hurt, so he can't wrestle. MJF is busted up, he can't wrestle. So you've got the Kingdom now as the guys who have to carry the torch. And I mean, outside of Wardlow, and to me, he doesn't make sense in that group. He's a strong enough character to be on his own.
Yeah, I mean, he has his beef with MJF, obviously, that is a good tie-in. But now that MJF is not going to be around for months, like what's his role? I guess to go after Samoa Joe eventually. But yeah, I don't know. To me, the Adam Cole reveal was very predictable. When the first person asked me, like, who do you think the Devil is? It's Adam Cole. Like, and when it ended up being him, it was kind of like, oh, well, I was right. There you go. There it is. It should have been a shock moment, but it wasn't. I mean, hell, I would have taken MJF as the Devil in the end, and it would have been better than Adam Cole.
I mean, I think a better ending, and this is Sosis's idea, and I never really thought about it, was they do what they did, and then the henchmen turn on Adam Cole and they align with MJF. Like that would have been like, oh, okay, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, that would have been a good swerve.
Still not a, oh my god, like it should have been Ziggler. That's just it was a big fail, and obviously he's in New Japan. He can compete now. That crowd would have gone bonkers.
Congratulations to him, by the way. What a debut. And also, I totally fucking called it in September when he got let go. I posted it on the page. I was like, let's send him to New Japan, have him destroy them over there, get a championship run, come back to AEW, do a tag team run with his brother, and maybe even a world heavyweight run later, and then leave AEW and go do a Hall of Fame run at WWE to end his career. I think that would be the move, you know?
I mean, if you look at the matches he could have in AEW, it's like Omega, Ospreay, MJF. I mean, he's probably faced Edge and Christian, so it's not unappealing. But I want to see new matchups. So there's a lot. Jay White, you can imagine Ziggler and Jay White, the Mike feud.
That'd be great. That would be a good match. Yeah.
So, I mean, the devil should have been Ziggler. It just, that's something where Tony Khan needs someone. I'm not saying like us, but like, hey, man, this is why it should be him. This, no offense to Adam Cole, but, we only have, 5 pay-per-views a year, something like that. We need to maximize bang for the buck. Obviously the next pay-per-view is going to be built around Sting's retirement. So, but just like a lot of things in AEW, the pay-per-view overall was just there.
Yeah, my leading into the pay-per-view too didn't help. That's the other thing. A lot of these build-up moments with the devil, by the time we got to the pay-per-view, I was sitting on my couch going, at this point, it doesn't matter who it is, because if it's Ziggler, that's a pop, but it's not going to be Ziggler. I knew that. And then if it's MJF, it's whatever. If it's Adam Cole, it's predictable. And the one that I thought it would have been Marty Scurll, because there was one of those build-up moments. He types out on the screen, "Are you a hero or a villain?" And I was like, oh, well, there's the villain Marty Scurll. He's wrestling for CMLL right now. They have a relationship with Rocky Romero and AEW, so that makes sense. But they didn't even go with that. And even if it was him, like, that would have made me happy. But I know that a lot of fans would have been like, who? Who's that? And they could have used that opportunity to build up a new talent that's like a new signee. But I don't know. They fumbled. They definitely fumbled.
The only thing that would have made any other sense other than Ziggler was Mercedes Moné. Like, because I didn't hear anyone say, I mean, obviously, I looked back at all the 3 segments of the devil, the Jay White attack, the acclaimed attack, and the Hangman Page attack. The Hangman Page attack devil was jacked. That was not Adam Cole in that costume.
That was Wardlow. Probably.
Oh, no, the devil. I think Wardlow was one of the 2 guys who picked up Hangman and threw him on the car. But the devil was, and I don't know if they did this on purpose to throw people off, because if you look at, I've studied this like the JFK assassination.
You have a board at home with like strings.
I do. If you look at the first attack with Jay White, the devil's very slender up top. Like, it almost looked like it could have been. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Danhausen just under the mask. And then the second attack against Bowens is a little bigger. And then in the Hangman attack, much bigger. So I thought either they're doing this on purpose or they're just getting anyone who's there that day to wear the devil costume. So, I mean, I do think it's their best written storyline ever. That's not saying much, but
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to run the card down, but we're already talking about it, so I'll just talk about it. The promo the day after at Dynamite, not the day after, but whatever, the Dynamite after, the promo from Adam Cole made sense. It had good motive. You know, the whole time they were best buds, they kept teasing that they don't trust each other. So it makes sense. But again, it was just kind of a lackluster reveal for sure.
Well, I think unfortunately they were basically like in the world of comedy, you have to follow someone who's killing. They had to follow The Rock on Monday Night Raw, and there's just I thought if there's any chance of a double swerve, like maybe Ziggler comes out tonight. Obviously, he was in Japan, but they needed to do something to counter program The Rock, which is going to be very hard to do. But I mean, the promo, like you said, I mean, the storyline overall makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I just think this is where, once again, how many times have we said this on the Comedy Store Wrestling podcast? Rest in peace. They need Tony Khan needs someone in his ear going, "This is why you should do this because it makes this, that, and that line up." And so now the next big storyline, I guess, is who's going to wrestle Sting in his last match. It'll be interesting to see how they do that because that's a big deal.
Yeah, I don't know. Who would you want to see? Because, I mean, there's the talk of Darby, so you could put over young talent. There was talk of bringing in Goldberg, but I don't want to see that. So who would we want to see in there with Sting?
I mean, he can't wrestle by himself. He just can't. He's 64. Even if you put him in there with someone who could just take the shots, and carry the bulk of the match. I mean, I'll assume. I mean, that would be cool to see Darby go heel. That would put Darby over. Like if Darby turned on Sting and Sting passes the torch to him. I'm assuming they're not going to do that. So, I mean, someone brought up Big Bill and Ricky Starks, which I wouldn't mind seeing. I mean,
do you think he goes out on his Shield, old school style? Like Sting more than I do. So, how do you think he wants to go? With a W or on his Shield?
I think Sting would lose. If it weren't for Sting, he'd be like, "I'll put someone over, no problem." But Tony Khan, I think, is a Sting mark. So I think, hey, man, we're going to send you off on a high note. I don't know who he could put over unless it was a guy like Roosh, who's not completely over yet.
He's getting there, though. A lot of Roosh chants. That Continental Classic was awesome.
I mean, they did well on that. That was a great tournament. I mean, it was very good all the way through. I mean, I felt bad for guys like Lethal and Briscoe, didn't get to win a match. But, they know the deal. So, I mean, might be a good way to bring in Ziggler as a heel if he beats the shit out of Sting. It'll be interesting. Like, Sting is kind of like the Ultimate Warrior at this point. He's got 3 or 4 moves he's going to do. The jumping in the corner, the death drop, the death lock.
He's got to do one crazy stunt off of something.
I'm going.
Where is it?
I think Greensboro Coliseum, which is where he had many matches with Flair and Nikita Koloff, and it's just. And I believe this will be his last match. He's not going to drag it out and come back in 2 years or whatever.
Like Ric Flair.
I mean, he'll be 66 in 2 years. But it'll be interesting to see how they do it. Although I will, there was some, the Christian Edge, I can't call him Adam Copeland. That was a great match.
Yeah. Good swerve at the end, like, oh, hey, he wins. And then, oh, nope. No, you didn't.
I did think that was funny. I mean, they are capable of doing a story. Like they're clearly setting up Luchasaurus turning on Christian at some point, and they've been dragging that out, and it's got me on board. Like, come on, man, do it. Don't give in. Like, so I do feel like that's a storyline that is compelling. I don't know if I would do that culmination in London, but they AEW shows you glimpses of they can put together a good story.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I keep trying to defend them and telling people, like, it's not really about, for them, it's more about the action and the matches, the dream matches, and like the holy shit, and here's Okada out of nowhere. Like, that's what AEW is about. It's basically a well produced indie show. And as opposed to like what you're getting in WWE with more stories and characters and whatnot. But they do have, like you said, glimpses of some good things that they could do. We'll see where they go with that. But let me run down a little bit of the card here. Some of the ones that stick out. Like, man, that Chris Statlander Willow Nightingale match was horrendous.
Botchamania. I mean, that one move where Willow, who we've seen in at that New Japan show in Long Beach, like she's good, but it kind of reminded me of that match with Britt Baker and Taya, where they just didn't have the best chemistry, and it just that was a rough match to watch, and I'm a fan of both, but they had an off night. It happens.
Well, the thing is, too, this is what I was having a discussion with. They were like, "Oh, the women's division in AEW needs help. We need Mercedes Moné to come in and help." And I'm like, I think that they have good characters. Chris Statlander's a good wrestler and a character. Willow Nightingale's got her thing going on. Julia Hart and Sky Blue. I love this new Sky Blue thing. And they have, Julia Hart's grown tremendously since she became champion or leading up to that. Abaddon's cool. Toni Storm is great with her new character as well. So they have the talent. I just think they don't have a performance center. They don't have a way to practice. Their practice is, when they get a match on TV, or maybe, if they do an indie show somewhere or something like that, or maybe an ROH taping or something. But it's not like WWE where like, hey, you're looking a little rough. Go to fucking Orlando and get in the performance center that we have like the top coaches in the world and tune up like what they're doing with Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill was great, but she was, we've said it numerous times. She's good, but she was squashing everybody. She's a little green. Like, she wasn't ready. Now they're getting her nice and ready before she's on TV taking on, Becky's and Rhea's of the world.
Oh, I agree. I mean, and you've got Omega on the shelf, so you could totally have him be a coach or whatever you want to call it, and you sit down Willow and Statlander and go, you draw up the match for them, because they're both still pretty young in the business, and I'm sure there's others who could help them, but that match was tough. And, it's like you said. I mean, there's no practice facility, so it's like it literally would be like trying to do comedy at the Comedy Store, and you don't go up anywhere else but once every 3 weeks. You'd bomb your ass off. At least I would. But I do think if the women's division could get an instant shot of adrenaline when Jamie Hayter comes back, that's got to be soon. That girl they just signed from TNA, she debuted.
Deonna Purrazzo, yeah.
I mean, you could tell she's pretty good. Like, she's a little nervous on the mic last night, but I get it. And then Mercedes Moné and even Mariah May, like, she's a pretty good heel. Like last night, she hit a couple lines, kind of like Rick Rude, shitting on the town or the state. It was pretty good, and so that's 4 girls and Britt Baker coming back, wherever she is, and I like Abaddon. Like, I think it's a little one note, right now, but when she's on TV, you definitely watch. Like,
to me, it's kind of like Mankind. Mankind, when he first debuted, was very one note, but then he kind of evolved and started becoming funnier and doing other things. So, like, there's a potential there that, she's one note right now, but it could grow to something cool, I think.
I think with Julia Hart, like, she just doesn't have a lot of opponents to utilize. It's crazy. She's only 22. Like, she's going to be amazing by the time she's 25. But I don't think, I mean, wrestlers, man or woman, like, you need a foil. You need someone to play off of, and right now there's just not a lot of people for Julia Hart to play off of. So we'll see. But I do have confidence in the women's division, but it definitely needs better writing.
Oh, for sure. They need some stories, something going on. I mean, and how many times are we going to get Riho in there whenever they run out of women? They're like, all right, throw Riho in there to do a title match. It's like, all right, come on.
Yeah, I mean, she's okay. I mean, she's good. She's just a little overexposed, and got Thunder Rosa's back, so that's a talent.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad she's back. I talked to her at Full Gear. We hung out after we hung out after, and she was telling me that she's healthy and ready to go and just waiting for her opportunity, and it looks like it happened. So that's good. I'm happy for her.
Yeah, and Sky Blue, I love her. She's a good heel. So we'll see. Soraya's still in the mix, and
yeah, Soraya's still there. They were doing something with Ruby and that dude, the Cool Hand, or
I love Daddy Magic,
but it wasn't Daddy Magic. It was Cool Hand and the other guy.
right,
cool
there's like a love triangle or whatever.
Yeah,
I like it. I mean, it's like I don't know where it's going, but it's funny. I mean, I like last night Daddy Magic sticking up for Daniel Garcia at the end of the match.
yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of interesting characters on AEW, but a guy like Daddy Magic, it's like the problem for him is, and anyone associated with Jericho right now, is that was real awkward on that pay-per-view, the boos. I mean, we don't have to get I mean it's he said she said, so like I mean, how do you feel about that situation? I mean, that was awkward.
Very awkward, and a lot of NDA chants and signs everywhere, which also the fans get a little aggressive with that sometimes without like nothing has officially been said or done. It was just kind of rumor and innuendo, and even then the guy walked it back. The Houseman guy or whatever, the guy who called out Jericho, walked his comments back, saying like, well, I didn't mean that he was sexually harassing everyone. I meant that blah, blah, blah. He was gatekeeping. I don't know. It got a little weird.
He definitely meant that. I mean, you can't throw out. See, this is what I hate about allegations, and it's a difference. It's not even really a wrestling subject, but like, when you accuse someone of basically being inappropriate with a woman, you got to have your facts lined up, man. Because now everyone looks at Jericho and go, "Oh man," and I mean, the Jericho I know is not that guy, but even I'm going like, "Oh man, I hope that's not true."
I wouldn't have been surprised, only because I don't know Jericho, but he's a rock star and a wrestling superstar. Like, those types of people generally do shitty things. I didn't think he touched her or did anything, but like what I heard was that he called the girl up to his room and made a pass, and she got scared and left. If that's what happened, that's nothing, and also not surprising. He's a celebrity, and that hey, you're cute, and if she says no, then yeah, he's a douchebag for fucking cheating on his wife. But other than that, like, what are we talking about here?
I mean, I just hate that. Like, he threw it out there. He knew the repercussions of what he was saying. When you basically say Chris Jericho is the Harvey Weinstein of the wrestling world, that's I mean, that's just wrong to say that unless you have facts and say them right after that statement, because like you could ruin someone's life by saying that shit.
Well, there's he associates with a particular person that is now in WWE that I don't like talking about. He was the one that broke the story for Punk during Brawl Out. He's basically the guy who started Brawl Out, because he's the one that Punk yelled at, that guy Houseman. So and then they became best buddies, and he was like the connecting source to CM Punk. And you know what I say? Tell me who you hang out with, and I'll tell you who you are. So. Those people are just shitty people. I wouldn't put it past Jericho to make a pass at a lady, but I wouldn't call him fucking Weinstein. That's crazy.
Well, that's basically saying he's a rapist. Like, that's what you're implying. And it's just wrong unless you know the facts. And It's just I have a real edge to me about this subject because
Oh, I know. We know.
you can ruin someone's. I mean, that clearly affected the pay-per-view. Like,
Yeah.
And it was probably awkward for the announcers because they know why he's getting booed, and they can't really like. It's a minefield to go around, and you probably felt bad for Jericho, and you felt bad for his opponents because he was the face in that, and they're booing him. So I'm sure there was confusion with the heels of, hey, how come they're not booing us? What do we do?
Yeah. And
So
that match had potential to be great. I mean, it was Big Bill, Ricky Starks, the Don Callis family, Sting and Darby, and then Chris and Guevara. And that could. I feel bad for Bill and them. And Sting. Like now they're all involved in that mess. They're putting up with that scenario, like you said, the booze. It's just, it sucks. But what can you do? It happened.
I think Joseph had the best idea. I believe he told me, dude, they should have strapped that 8-man thing, which I agree with. I don't like those 8-man things because it meant nothing, that match. But you bring in Enzo just for one match.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's fun and with a little bit of nostalgia. He's against Big Bill, and I would have gotten a big pop, and it would have been trending on Twitter. Outside of the Jericho NDA stuff, that match didn't trend at all. So,
No, yeah.
And Sting is like, I'm got one more match. I don't want to deal with this bullshit.
Yeah. Well, the thing is also, I mean, not just getting rid of that 8-man tag. AEW continues to do this shit. There was 12 matches. That's too many matches, man. Look at the WWE pay-per-views. Not to say that they should copy, but the last few have been 5 matches. This is 12. That's insane. That match could have gone away. The Chris Statlander Willow Nightingale match could have gone away. Could have been a TV match. Hook versus Wheeler Yuta for the FTW Championship didn't matter. Nobody, who cared about that match? It was all right.
They got to keep Wheeler Yuta off the mic. He's horrible.
Horrible on the mic. You had who else? Like the 8-man tag, Swerve and Keith Lee. That match should have been on the card and should have been awesome, but Keith Lee got hurt, and then they replaced him with Dustin Rhodes. Just cancel the match. No disrespect to Dustin, but who cares?
How did Keith Lee get hurt, and when did he get hurt?
It was like the day of, and I don't think it wasn't like an injury that he got. It was, he didn't get cleared by the doctors. They were just like, hey man, you're in rough shape, which he is. He's 450 pounds, old. I'm sure there's many aches and torn meniscuses and fucked up shoulders. He just didn't get cleared to compete. There wasn't an actual he got hit by a car or something.
Although I will say I did like the Battle Royal. I thought that was a good on the dark. I thought that
kickoff.
Yeah. To have Kill Switch and I love Lance Archer. To anyone who's not sold on Lance Archer, go watch his match with Ospreay last year, in New Japan. He held his own. He's legit.
Oh yeah, he used to tag with Suzuki, man. That dude rules. It's just he says some unsavory things on the internet, so people hate on him.
Yeah. I mean, I would have ditched the Sting match and maybe put the Battle Royal on the main card. They definitely needed to cut at least 1 to 2 matches.
There was also that other multi-man match, fucking Danielson, all the losers of the Continental Classic. That's a TV match. That doesn't need to be on the pay-per-view.
And it just didn't. You got these random Brody King, Jay White, Lethal, and Roosh. It's just, let's just throw these guys together.
That's the New Japan booking right there. They do that all the time. All right. What else? Okay, so Eddie Kingston winning the Continental Classic. That was great.
That was very
well deserved for him, and really good match. Lots of hard hitting. I heard people complaining that all they did at the end was slap each other until somebody passed out. I'm like, yeah, like a fight. That's how fights are. You punch until someone goes down. I don't know. I thought that was a really good finish.
Oh, I liked it, and I thought it was a great cap to the tournament, which was very well done. I mean,
yeah,
there were some fantastic performers in the tournament overall. I mean, Andrade was great in it. Garcia, Brody. I mean, even Jay Lethal had some good matches. I mean, Briscoe too. Even though, especially with Briscoe, he's never, and Lethal too. I guess they're never going to win this. So their matches were kind of like anticlimactic. But I get, you have to have someone lose, and
Yeah, it happens.
so,
Another match that could have gotten cut was Miro and Andrade. As much as I love Miro and I want him to be on pay per view, that match didn't need to be on a pay per view. It was on Andrade's last match in AEW. He's
I
gone
mean,
now.
I think yeah, that's a bummer. I didn't know that was going down, but I thought that match should have been on the card. It just could have been cut by like say 5 minutes because there was a lot of standing around, and obviously, especially Miro, they're two pretty big dudes. But I mean, I saw Andrade wrestle Joey Janela at GCW, and it was a very fast paced match. Like, so Andrade can move, like, and then Miro's in great shape for a gigantic dude.
Yeah.
So I thought they just could have. I don't know who wrote that match. Maybe they both collaborated together. Sorry, there's construction next door.
Oh, I don't hear it. It's fine.
Okay, but that's some that's a match where like William Regal could have said, "All right, guys, let's cut this chunk of moves out and get right to the finish." I mean, I did like the finish where CJ Perry, basically knocks his arms and Miro. I didn't see that ending coming, so it was good, but it was a little laborious, the match.
Yeah, I don't think anybody saw that ending coming, including CJ Perry. I think what happened was they finally had the discussion backstage that Andrade was leaving, and they're like, "Well, I guess I'll turn on him because, what what else can we do here?" Because I feel like that partnership with Andrade was supposed to be longer. Like that story was probably going to be longer. The whole, CJ betraying Miro, and it's probably going to keep going to a certain extent. But now that she helped him, I don't know. That I feel like that story got cut short because Andrade left.
Yeah, I mean, it almost seemed like they were negotiating during the match, and Tony Khan was like, "Okay, we're not re-signing him. Radio down, end it."
Yeah,
But,
and it.
I mean, I know it didn't happen like that, but it was a weird. It just seemed like the finish was so last minute. Like, okay, turn on him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And the only match we haven't talked about, well, we kind of talked about it. MJF Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe. I don't think anybody argues that he deserves that title, and it's so good to see him like in the position where he should have been years ago in WWE. Do you remember? Were you watching when it was Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar?
oh
Like,
yeah,
that shit was fire, and then all of us nothing happened, and then they had him fucking commentating in the rain. Like he deserves to be in that position that he's in now, and I'm just happy to see it.
100%. I mean, he's great, especially for a bigger guy and an older guy. He still moves pretty good, and he's safe in the ring. I mean, that or muscle buster, he put on MJF. I think it was on Dynamite last week. That's a dangerous move if you don't execute it like to perfection. So, but
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the move that took out Tyson Kidd. No.
I didn't. It probably is. I don't remember that. But I think my only problem with Samoa Joe winning is why would Roderick Strong help him? Like more or less, I mean, Roderick Strong basically helped Samoa Joe get the title with the Kingdom when he's the one who hurt his neck. Like, so it's like little things like that. It's like, okay, that doesn't completely make sense.
Well, yeah, but again, I guess the neck thing became a comedy gimmick at some point where he's getting out of the chair and having a match with the neck brace on. Like it wasn't a real injury. I guess it was part of the ruse. I don't know.
I mean, I guess, but like that's something that I don't know. I immediately thought, well, wait a minute, didn't he almost break Roderick Strong's neck, and now they're allies? Like, but with no explanation. Like, there's no like, okay, they were in on it together. Or like, there's no just a 2 minute. vignette or something where it goes, okay, now I see why they did that.
Yeah.
Just like Wardlow being in, and they last night, I don't know if you, I'm sure you did catch this, but like
Yeah.
Adam Cole said, if Wardlow wins, he's going to give me the title. And Wardlow was like, kind of gave it a weird look, like, okay, I guess. So they've already blown the next feud, which is clearly Wardlow will leave this group.
Yeah.
And they'll turn on him, or he turns. I don't know how they'll do, who turns on who, but like they could have. That's something where a writer would say, don't say that like you're going to say it, like he said it. Kind of hide it a little bit more, like, so it's a little bit more of, oh my God, Wardlow just turned on the Kingdom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we already know it's going to happen, so it's like it's less interesting.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. But kudos to MJF. They're pulling. By the way, going back, I just looked it up. Tyson Kidd did get injured by a muscle buster from Samoa Joe, which is why that move was banned in WWE, and then they let him do it in AEW.
Well, if you look at that move, like when he hoists you up and your neck is basically against his shoulder, I mean, and they're at that point of the match when he did it to MJF anyway, he's pretty sweaty and slippery. Like it could be a disaster, man. But
yeah.
I guess that what makes the move work, like, because there is that hint of, hey, if there's a botch here, like we might be seeing a real injury.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. We'll see where it goes. Again, I was trying to say earlier, MJF is playing off this whole bidding war of 2024 thing and the world ending and him losing everything. They took him off of the roster page. He's no longer...
They did that before, though. So
yeah, they did that when he got fired or whatever.
I mean, listen, I'm sure every wrestler wants their WrestleMania moment, but I don't know what his goals are. Like, so if he wants to get into acting a little more or whatever, like Ziggler wants to get into or is in comedy, AEW is a great alternative because the schedule's not as lax. MJF, and I'm sure they're reaching out to him. WWE.
Oh, yeah, he did the Iron Claw, right? The movie, so he's definitely going to act more. But they're not. Look, I have it on good authority. I'm not going to name names or throw anybody under the bus but I've heard from numerous folk that work there that he's already resigned. He re-signed, not resigned, re-signed for until 2027.
I mean, yeah, I could, because I thought, if he goes to WWE, because people are already kind of souring on CM Punk. Like it was a big deal. And then the first Monday Night Raw promo, it wasn't great. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. And then the SmackDown promo, he did a line against AEW that fell completely flat. And now it's just like, okay, he's here.
Yeah. They have him fighting Dom in house shows.
I mean, I just think, I wouldn't be surprised if he went up to Sting and said, hey, I know what happened to you over there. What do you think would happen to me if I went? Because Sting is an elder statesman. He got burned when he went there. So I'm sure if they did talk, hey, this is what they'll probably do to you. They'll start you off against Roman Reigns. You job to him. You job to Cody. Oh, you want to be in AEW, our main competition? Now you want to come play with us? Well, this is how we play. Yeah. Job. And then he's in a match with Damian Steele or something.
Well, I know MJF is not going to go to WWE at least until 2027, which is great. This is what I was saying because I talked to Eddie Firth on the show, and he's like the WWE guy, and he was like, no, he has to sign right now while the iron's hot. And I'm like, absolutely not. Give him some more years in AEW. And then when shit cools off in WWE, because right now, what are you going to do? It feels at this point, Cody's never going to finish that fucking story with CM Punk coming into the mix and now The Rock. Like, Cody's never going to finish the story. It's the never-ending story. So
he should have won last year in LA. It was the perfect opportunity. Like, just the visual of him in the SoFi Stadium with his wife and kids looking up to the sky for Dusty. It just would still be talked about. I mean, Roman's character is the same.
yeah, what has Roman done in this entire year? We're almost at Mania again, and what has happened between that Mania and this one? That's you're like, oh shit! Like all the good stuff with the Bloodline happened before that Mania. Now it's like, okay, well, what's he doing? He's barely on TV, and I mean, I guess he helped make Jey Uso a main eventer on his own, but
I mean, that did get a big pop when The Rock said "head of the table."
dude.
Like, that was a big, big pop. So, I mean, I still say Cody should have won, but he didn't. So, I just think if whoever he beats in Philadelphia, it's just not the same as LA. Like,
Yeah.
there were so many eyes on the product, celebrities in that house. It just, but it's the way it is.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Let's talk a little bit about Mania at the end. I only have a couple more things from Dynamite, which is how are you feeling about Orange Cassidy now? They have him just putting up that like there's jokes going around the internet of like, be careful meeting Orange Cassidy because you might end up challenging him for the whatever it's called, international championship, because he just puts it up against anyone.
I think he's on TV too much. Like, you're kind of just sick of. I mean, I love him, but like
the pops are getting smaller.
It's very repetitive. We talked earlier about Sting doing the same 3 or 4 moves. And with Orange Cassidy, it's the same. The hands in the pants,
the little kicks.
Yeah. And the beach break, the finishing move. It's just, I would love to either see him go heel or he needs a character change, because he's still over, but I don't know. It's just not.
It's not as big as it was. It's not as big as it was.
I mean, he's a great wrestler. I mean, I don't know what the character change could be outside of going heel or just something different, the presentation, but that's someone who might benefit from. I mean, I guess he's the champ. You can't really take him off of TV, but maybe a new alliance.
I think a new character. Like, everybody loves that character, but like the perfect opportunity was when he was defending that title. They were running the story of how he's defended the title every week and he's exhausted and he's injured and then he lost the belt to, I think, Mox, and then Mox lost it like right back. And I think there was some kind of injury in between that caused that kind of shuffle. That's why they moved it around. But that would have been a perfect opportunity to switch his character. Be like, hey, he's frustrated, or he's about to snap because he can't take it anymore because all these defenses. Like, there needs to be a switcheroo there. Maybe him and Danhausen. You know what I mean? Switch them both into more serious characters. Have the evil Danhausen and have Cassidy, finally snap and like give a shit about something and have a new character. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's something where you should just have a bunch of people in a writer's room. Hey, what do you think? Like we're doing right now, but like with people who can actually make it happen.
Right.
And then because he's good. I mean, it's hard to say he's good on the mic because he doesn't really talk. That's his character. I don't know. Maybe he turns on a kid in the crowd or something. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of been just bland right now. It's just, okay, we see this every week. So maybe he does a tag team with not Swerve, but like a heel tag team. Like you said, maybe him and Danhausen. I don't know. I mean,
I think the way Danhausen goes evil and poisons Cassidy into becoming evil with him. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Huh?
That'd be funny.
Yeah, that'd be funny. Other things on Dynamite: Darby versus Takeshita. That was a fun match. Takeshita is such a fucking stud, and they fumbled that ball too, man. Takeshita was on the rise with that feud with Kenny, and then all of a sudden, if like everybody's like, oh, he's gonna be the next big star, and nothing happened.
Once again, it's just like, I mean, we all know it's fake, and in terms of the storylines, it's are not fake, scripted,
Right.
uh, and that whole Don Callis faction, like you've got Kyle Fletcher in there, who's United Empire guy, like so he doesn't really fit, like in terms of that. Now I don't know if Mark Davis is hurt again.
He
Like,
is.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Uh, but Osprey's in there, and that doesn't like Osprey doesn't need a faction outside of United Empire. So that doesn't really, and he's coming in. I'm assuming, I think he said he had commitments in New Japan.
February.
Yeah. So maybe him and he'll be Sting's last opponent. Imagine how over he would get. I mean, he's already over, but if he beat the shit out of Sting, like, because I do think there is a large, not a large, but maybe a decent sized section of the American audience who doesn't really know who Osprey and or appreciates him. Like if Sting puts him over, that would be huge as a heel.
Yeah. What else happened? There was a Continental title eliminator match to see who the next contender is for Kingston, and it ended up being Trent Beretta, which it was Trent Beretta versus Brian Cage versus Brian Keith versus Hijo del Vikingo. Another multi-man match that doesn't need, like, it had people in there, like Brian Cage didn't need to be in there. He's a 6-man tag champ. And Hijo del Vikingo didn't need to be there. He's a AAA mega champion. I like that they brought in the bounty hunter, Brian Keith. That dude rules.
He's good.
I like him. But yeah, anyway, Trent wins. He's going to challenge Eddie on Saturday on Collision, which I love Trent, but like, come on, we know he's not he's not taking it. So, but he'll put on a good match. Then there was Swerve and Daniel Garcia. There was a dance off with Garcia and Prince Nana. So I wanted to ask you this: where are you at with Nana now? Because I remember you hated him when we were still doing CSW. But now that he's gotten over with his dance, I mean, how are you feeling about it?
I mean, it's a little repetitive, like, but he's funny. He's definitely grown on me. Yeah, I mean,
the little dance and the little.
Swerve is so over right now that I don't know. I think Prince Nana's, shenanigans kind of take a little bit of the shine away. Like, I don't think Swerve needs a manager because he's good on the mic. And I don't really like what they did last night, teasing a third match between him and Hangman. It's like,
yeah, I don't care about that at all.
I do like how all the people the devil fucked over were coming, were like on the show last night and angry, and but like Jay White, I did like that segment.
Yeah, that was cool.
And but the Swerve Hangman, no one wants to see that. As great as that match at Full Gear was, and their first match, which I think was on a Dynamite, if I'm not mistaken, or it was either a Dynamite or Collision. But I don't want to see a third match. So that
even if they make it a contenders match for the title, like, I still don't care.
Yeah, we've seen it twice. You're never going to top that last match at Full Gear. I mean, that was bonkers.
Yeah, blood drinking, there's no way.
I mean, that was the craziest thing I've ever seen in the thousands of matches I've seen on television or live.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about that because you were I don't know, you were busy, but that fucking spot with the blood drinking, like, I've never heard a crowd reaction like that live in my life.
We were basically sitting together. We were on hard cam side, and I just remember, like, oh my god, like I've seen what I'm seeing. So, but you're just not going to top that match. So, like, I would have rather had Hangman go at one of the Kingdom, go at Roderick Strong. I'd be down for that match. I love Roderick Strong. He that's another example of AEW is capable of building a character. Like when he first came in, I had zero clue as to who he was. I never heard of him. And the first time, okay, I don't know who this guy is. It looks like he's okay. And then week by week, he got over and over, and now I'm like, he's probably one of my favorite guys. So, or go after the Kingdom or the other two guys, something along that nature, or all three of them. But I thought that was not the best way to end Dynamite last night.
Yeah, it was weird. I will say, I've heard a lot of people echo what you said about Nana shenanigans kind of taking away from Swerve's character, but I kind of, I don't know, I'm seeing it from a twisted kind of like a Joker kind of vibe where, Swerve is the stone cold killer and Nana's just like the psycho, like dancing on people's dead bodies, you know what I mean? Kind of the thing. He needs to, every once in a while he shows like little craziness in his like when he's talking backstage, he'll say something that I'm like, all right, that's the vibe. But he needs to do more of that so that it comes off more psychotic than silly, the little dance.
Yeah, I just think like last night, it was a great match between those guys. And I mean, I get the dance off thing was pretty funny, but it was just like, instead of that 40 seconds of them doing that, I'd rather see Swerve wrestling.
Yeah, yeah.
And Garcia, like I saw him at PWG against Takeshita. I was like, Jesus, man, this guy's good. So I just think, like I wouldn't mind Swerve or Prince Nana doing that shit during a Brian Cage match because like Brian Cage is like the Ultimate Warrior. It's like a couple power moves, and Brian Cage is very good.
Yeah.
But he moves at a slower pace, obviously. So I wouldn't mind it, Brian Cage, but like Swerve, I want to see that guy moving and wrestling, and instead of Prince Nana going like that.
Yeah, it's a tough one because Swerve got over as like a super heel after that Hangman match, but now everybody's cheering him, so it's kind of hard to be a heel when everybody's cheering you, so and dancing with you. So it's just I don't know what's going to happen there. He's making claims of being the first African American world champion for AEW. I think that should happen. I don't know how we get there with Samoa Joe, but I that's a good match for me. Like Samoa Joe Swerve would be, I'm sure, a great match.
He should be the champion. I mean, he has. They say this about comics, bands, wrestlers. He has it. And
yeah.
I don't know what it is, but he's got it. Like he's just good. Like you, it's the grill. It's the hairstyle. He's got a good body. You can tell he likes being a heel. But he's very. You're right though. The fans do cheer him. He's like Rick Rude. I mean, Rick Rude was a heel.
Yeah.
People in the audience fat, and they clapped for him. Like some guys just have that. Like MJF when he's a heel, people love him.
Yeah.
So I hope that I see him being a champion, maybe even by London, maybe at London.
That would be a good Wembley match, Joe and Swerve.
Joe and Swerve or Joe and Ospreay. I mean, I'm assuming Ospreay will be in the main event anytime in London, but I mean, they do AEW. There are some bright spots in AEW. They've got a lot of. I like their roster better than WWE, but they're so miles behind WWE in production and writing that it's and like the exodus of people leaving. I don't mind who is it? Matt Jackson's wife leaving.
Oh yeah,
she handled the merch, and my thoughts on the merch.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Now she doesn't have anything to do with Pro Wrestling Tees, does she?
No, that's Colt Cabana.
So, like, what merch does she do? The Young Bucks merch?
She would design the Young Bucks merch, but also she was more logistical. It was more money handling with the merch. Yeah, but that's another sign of like that's tough, man. That's one of the EVP's wife is gone. That's not a good sign. There's
also, the guy who books the arenas went.
Yeah, he's gone.
But that's a huge loss, like because this guy has relationships with every head of every arena in the country, probably. Although that could be a silver lining because maybe that will force AEW to play smaller venues. Like,
Yeah.
I
But
don't
that,
know.
from what I read too, that wasn't like an angry departure. That was more like he got an opportunity to work at a specific venue at a higher position, so he took that, more
Yeah.
probably making more money.
I mean, I don't know what a smaller venue in Jersey is. I mean, anything's going to be smaller than the Prudential Center, but I mean, Bully Ray made a great point of the energy would be so amazing in some of those AEW matches if you know it was a full house instead of maybe 60% full of a hockey arena or so
Yeah.
uh,
We'll see. I mean, 2024 is looking to be very interesting with a lot of contracts up in the air. A lot of movement's going to be happening. A lot of AEW guys are going to go to WWE and vice versa. And so, we've said this the entire year that we were at Comedy Store Wrestling. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan because there's a lot of movement going on right now. And WWE seems to be capitalizing on a lot of it. I'm still more into New Japan. Like I have Wrestle Kingdom locked in right now. I'm going to watch Bryan Danielson and Okada after we're done here. But yeah, WWE is definitely picking it up, and I think AEW's got a lot of potential. You mentioned Ospreay. Ospreay versus Swerve for that title would be cool at Wembley.
Oh, that being, imagine the spots, and like, I mean, you have a black champion or a high profile African American wrestler against, a probably your top foreign talent in Osprey, arguably, and then I mean, this year's London could be huge if they do it right. Like, I mean, I think they botched Omega last year in like some useless three-man a trios match. Like he needs to be in a singles match. Now maybe he couldn't go like he is accustomed to, and that could be something that played into, hey, I can't do a singles match right now. I'm hurting. But like he needs to be in a singles match if he's physically capable. Okada, I thought should have been on the card. But now it gets confusing with Forbidden Door, and now you've got London. Like London's an international card.
Yeah.
So
well, All In, I think All In is their WrestleMania now, the Wembley card.
I mean, they proved they can put on a big show. Like, listen, it was still the entrances weren't amazing outside of MJF's, which was like, okay, this is a WWE feel to it. But for their first mega arena, that's not even an arena, a stadium show. I'll give them a B plus. And now they know what to do and what not to do. And if Ziggler's there, which I'm assuming he will be, and Monet, it's rumored that her WWE comeback was they tried, but they couldn't agree. And I mean, I guess she could go to New Japan and just, but AEW I think would be good for her. Like you said, she could probably go back like Ziggler at some point to WWE. But I mean, we'll say. I mean, it is a great time to be a wrestling fan. And all these indie shows that I'm becoming aware of, GCW, PWG, like especially for a Southern California fan, it's like there's a lot of good things that you can have access to. I'm going to Peter Avalon's match in 2 weeks at
Long Beach.
But what is it? Championship
Championship Wrestling from Hollywood.
Okay, so
that's Dave Marquez's company.
It's at the Infinite Reality Studio.
Yeah, so I know what that is.
January 14th, if you're in the LA area.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go. He reached out to me too and asked me if I was going to go. So he comes to my comedy shows, so I'm going to need I need to support. I need to be a good brother.
Yeah, I told him it'll be nice to see you in a main event and you're not jobbing to Wardlow.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a good time. We'll see what happens. I think the next big AEW pay-per-view is that Revolution. A lot of TV from here to there to get to a good story, but a lot of potential, man. I'm excited. We'll see where all these people end up. I know Elias is back. He's now Elijah, and he's wrestling in some weird indie I'd never heard of. I don't even know the name, to be honest with you.
But he could go to AEW,
Yeah.
like Riddle's in MLW. But I'm assuming that's a pretty easy contract to get out of if he said, "Hey, I want to go to AEW." Okay, thanks. Like he'd be, and I know it's like we talked earlier that AEW gets a lot of shit for bringing in old WWE guys, but Riddle's still got a lot of gas left in the tank. Ziggler does. I mean, Elias, I think he's over. Like wherever he goes, he's over.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be pretty funny if Elias debuted and did a song about the WWE. That would go viral.
Put him in a feud with Jeff Jarrett.
I mean, I like Jared better behind the scenes. I mean, he's amazing for 55. To be 55 and look like he does. And he's even more impressive in person. Like, I met him at the Flair Roast in the last match weekend. And, like, damn, we're the same age, bro. You look fucking amazing. But, I like humor spots, too. I did like when Kevin Von Erich last week put, who did he put in the claw? I forget who the Von Erich boys were wrestling, but Kevin Von Erich came down and put the claw on.
Yeah, I saw that in a clip, yeah.
Do we have 3 minutes to go over that movie?
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
But give me your thoughts, because I know there's talk of the Ric Flair portrayal horrible. Being horrible. Also, people hating on the fact that one of the kids is missing, but I mean, I read that the story is so tragic that a suicide on top of that would have just been too much sadness.
Yeah, I disagree. Like, it's part of the story. Like,
yeah,
it's a great. I mean, obviously the result's not great, but the fact that he was like the only Von Erich that wasn't physically gifted, and it drove him to suicide. I mean, it matches with the rest of the story, and frankly, I don't think one more tragic death in that movie is going to be like, oh, this is too much. And I mean, I think it's a great movie if you don't know anything about the story. Like if you're a Zac Efron fan or the guy from The Bear, and you just I don't know, it's a date night. Yeah, let's go see this movie. Oh wow, and you'll leave that theater going, that's a sad, sad story. But I don't know about you, but like when I see a movie, I want it to be pretty factually lined up. Like, and my friend said to me the other night, Earl, it's not a documentary.
Right.
But like, they left out Chris Von Erich, which I think was a mistake. And they kind of, I'm old enough to remember Fritz Von Erich. Everyone thinks the Von Erich feud or the Von Erich curse was because he switched the name over to Von Erich. And like, I mean, being Jewish, I think that the curse was because when Fritz Von Erich was a heel, he came to the ring kind of like a Nazi. Like, no, his robe was the Iron Cross, and I mean, Jesus, and he did the literal goose step. They completely like erased that. And the casting, I would have had Zac Efron as Kerry Von Erich. Now, I realize that because Kevin's the only surviving family member that you probably want the biggest actor to portray him.
Right.
But Kerry was the star of the family. So, and then the casting, I would have loved to have been on the cast. I would have had Ziggler as Ric Flair. I mean, I'm sure the Ric Flair actor is a great actor, like in a drama or a rom-com, but like it struck me as he probably watched a couple Flair videos on YouTube and all right, I'll just give my own take on it. And it's like, you can't, like, it's Ric Flair. Like,
or even Ryan. I know Ryan's in the movie.
Ryan was great as Gino Hernandez.
But I'm saying, like, I would take Ryan as Flair over
Oh yeah.
Whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I could see that. But I mean, and the Harley Race character was I mean, he kind of looked like him, but it was just, he didn't act like him. And I don't want to spoil the Bruiser Brody stuff, but like they had Bruiser Brody doing things in the movie that he never would have done. Like if you know who Bruiser Brody
In
is,
the ring or like outside of a ring?
basically like I don't want to spoil it for you, but how he prepared for a match. It's like without giving it away, like he, he was the leader. He wasn't gonna. I'll put it this way: he was not going to ask your opinion on what you wanted to do.
Right.
So, and he looked like him, the actor, but I would have loved to. I mean, I know Chavo Guerrero Jr. was the wrestling consultant, and the wrestling scenes are good. But I would have liked to have been a consultant on, okay, this is what Bruiser Brody would have done. This is how Ric Flair would have. I mean, the promos that Ric Flair did in the movie were just like, I mean, no. So
yeah. What about MJF? I heard he was like brief, like a half a second.
Yeah. I mean, you got to really fucking be a wrestling connoisseur to go, oh, that's MJF. I mean, he was good. I mean, I think he was an executive producer on it. So, like, kind of cool that he didn't put himself over in the movie because he probably could have.
Yeah.
I mean, Lance Von Erich is a pretty. He's not really a Von Erich, so like he's not really integral to the overall story. So, and I would have like, you're gonna laugh when I say this, and I know it's not like, I grew up watching obviously Hogan and Piper, but World Class Championship Wrestling was really the first federation I watched because they had some great characters. Iceman King Parsons, Ultimate Warrior when he was the Dingo Warrior, Rick Rude, Undertaker. I think it might have been his first federation when he was Big Red. And the movie kind of makes it only seem like the Von Erichs wrestled the Freebirds and Bruiser Brody. But Kerry Von Erich had an amazing feud with Kamala. Like, am I saying the movie wasn't good because Kamala wasn't in it? I just wish they would have shown a few more, wrestling feuds and whatnot, because the Von Erichs were a lot more than just the Freebirds.
They could have taken a page from the Young Rock Show. Like the Young Rock Show did a great job of bringing in all these characters that, whether the portrayals are accurate or not, like they brought in almost everyone that The Rock was involved with on that show. So that's cool. They should have taken a page from that, like you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, and I know it's not. I'm sure the director, if he was in on this episode, would be like, bro, not having a match with Iceman King Parsons didn't make or break the movie. Absolutely, it didn't. But like, it just, I think, would have shown their legacy is much more than what the movie portrayed. And I think it was a huge mistake not to have the Chris Von Erich story. You didn't have to make it a major part, but I mean, you can't have a story about 4 of 5 brothers dying, and there's a 5th brother who died, and you just leave it out. Like they didn't even mention it.
Yeah. Like they could have at least put it in text. There was also like just at the end of the movie. By the way, there was also blah 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 blah.
It's like doing a movie about the Three Stooges and not mentioning Shemp.
Yeah.
Who was he was Curly's replacement.
Yeah.
So like, it would be unfathomable to leave him out of it. But I mean, I think, like I said, does your wife watch wrestling? I mean, outside of watching it with you?
No.
So I think if she saw the movie, she would love it. Like, oh my God, this movie's amazing. It's 5 great looking dudes.
She hates sad movies, so she probably hate it. Because I know it's a sad movie. It has to be. There's no way that's a happy story.
There's really no way. And the guy from The Bear, I'm forgetting his name.
Yeah, he's great. Well, I don't in the Bear, he's great. I don't know how he did in the movie. So.
Who plays Carrie? Like he was very good, but
Yeah.
but I'm such a stickler. Like this was a very small cast to play the Von Erichs. Like, I mean, they're all jacked, but like Carrie was a big, big dude. So I thought that, and I don't. I mean, I know the guy from The Bear's a pretty hot actor right now, and I mean, I would say Zac Efron could probably get an Oscar nomination, but I don't. He's good. I mean, like I said, if you don't know anything about the story, you just walk into the movie because whatever.
Because it's A24.
Yeah, oh wow, this is. I mean, there were people crying in the theater. Like, I mean, it's a very sad movie. Like, there's no way to like really um, lighten the mood.
Yeah. I'm gonna make her watch it, but I'm not gonna tell her how sad it is because then she'll say no. Like I'm just gonna put up like, hey, there's a wrestling movie from A24. Let's watch it.
It's like making a movie about 9/11. There's really not a way to spruce up the ending.
Yeah. Okay, so out of 10 Varvatos leather pants, how many leather pants are you gonna give this movie?
I have to give it 2 ratings. I think for non-wrestling fans who know nothing about the story, it's an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
I think for marks like me who like actually watched world-class championship wrestling, and I think, oh, this could have been in there. Like, the gentleman, Chris Adams, great fucking heel. I thought he could have been in a little more. I give it a 7 out of 10 for if you watched the product.
Okay.
And there were some things off on the storyline too about, I think they move things around to make it fit the narrative. I hate it when they do that. It's like Oliver Stone's JFK. They move some things around where like, that didn't happen then. Yeah. But I don't think I'm the target audience in full disclosure. A 55-year-old wrestling fan. I think they want people who like Zac Efron and the guy from The Bear
and are sort of interested in wrestling because WWE's hot right now, and
yeah. I mean, they're going after people in a weird way. They're going after the same age group that people who watch the Barbie movie. So and it is a good. Like, obviously, girls are going to see it because of Zac Efron. Guys are going to see it of any age range from, who like wrestling because it's a guy movie for the most part. I mean, there's a little bit of romance in it, but not a lot. So it didn't do that well. I mean, I think it was 6th in the box office the first week, and then it lost, I think 30% the second week. So if you are going to see it in a movie theater, I would say you probably have 2 weeks at the max. But I could see this doing well on, I would say, like rentals, but like streaming. Like, I'm assuming it'll go to Netflix because Zach has a relationship with them. So
I think I read somewhere that A24 is actually going to be signing a deal with HBO Max to bring all the A24 movies.
Oh, okay.
So they'll probably end up there, and that's probably where I'll watch it. I'm gonna be honest. I wanted to go to the theater to see this, but I saw a lot of my friends with invites to the premiere, and nobody reached out for +1 to take me to the premiere. So I'm kind of a little butthurt. So I'm just gonna watch it at home. Fuck you guys.
Well, I was the same way. I mean, but I will say that they were a little wonky on the invites because, like, I won't say their name, but my very good comedy guardian angel. Oh shit! My TV just randomly turned on. Sorry, I still haven't figured out how to. I gotta have you come over, man. My TV's a little whack.
Yeah.
She was Zac Efron's first manager, and he didn't even invite her. Like,
what? That's weird.
No one would know who Zac Efron is if it wasn't for this girl, because she pushed for him to get High School Musical when they didn't want him and stuff like that, and she said, "I would have taken you, but I didn't even get an invite." So,
yeah, like I saw some friends of mine that are not even involved in the industry getting invites to this premiere, and I'm like, what? How? What? Whatever. I'm not actually butthurt. But I'm just gonna watch it at home. I don't know. I'm not gonna force her to go to the theater to see it with me, so I'll just watch it here. All right.
I wouldn't say you should see it in a movie theater because it is like definitely, seeing it in a movie theater, it's like you're at an actual wrestling event. Like it's. But I will say they did a great job of recreating the Sportatorium, and I mean it's a period piece, so in that regard, I give it almost a 9.5 out of 10 in terms of the authenticity. Although I do think my last thoughts on it would be that this was mid '80s wrestling. The Von Erichs were like the Beatles in Texas, and if you look at real footage of Kerry, especially Kerry walking to the ring, there's a lot of young girls. I don't think the movie went far enough in terms of it. I'm not saying I want Dark Side of the Ring, but like those guys partied hard. So I don't think the movie went far enough to really show you what 80s wrestling was really like on and off ring.
Okay. Well, I mean, was there cocaine usage?
I mean, they sugarcoated around it. I mean, I don't want to ruin, like you can't have a movie with the Von Erichs, Ric Flair, Gino Hernandez. Bruiser Brody I think he was pretty much a family guy, strangely enough. Like, you think looking at him, this guy probably not a great husband. He was probably the nicest husband out of the bunch. I just thought it was sanitized, I thought, too much. I mean, it's like Slapshot was a great representation of what pro hockey was like in the 70s. That's what it was like. Fighting, drugs, booze, women, the football movie North Dallas 40, which is basically about the 70s Dallas Cowboys, incredibly realistic, which is why I love the movie. They show how the trainers really treated the players like, you're going to take this drug or we're going to have the next guy who will take it play ahead of you and shit like that. You didn't get that with Iron Claw. I mean, like I said, they definitely made Fritz Von Erich a little more sympathetic than he was. I mean, look at some of his clips when he walked to the ring. I didn't listen to the Iron Claw.
Well, if you're looking for some gritty shit, they just released the 9 Lives of Vince McMahon on Vice, which is part of the whole Dark Side of the Ring thing. Okay, I think it came out today or yesterday.
Yeah,
that's gonna. Well,
I mean, I mean, Vince is. I wouldn't be surprised if down the road they do a Vince McMahon movie.
They're working on it. They're working on it. They've already announced that they're working on it. It's just trying to get past being able to release it without his permission.
I mean, it definitely that's something where you definitely need the footage and like you'd have to like. There's a great. Some of these shoot videos are great. Who was I was listening to some shoot video of someone who was actually right outside the office when Nails beat the shit out of Vince McMahon. Fuck, it'll come to me, of course, when we stop. But I mean, I don't know. Without footage or the ability to mention the Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, I don't think you could do a movie about Vince McMahon and have it be good. Like, because it's just going to be sanitized and.
It would have to be after he passes or something, or if he gets arrested for real. All right, well, Earl, let's wrap it up. We've been going at it for an hour and a half. What dates do you have? If you have any dates, if you have anything you want to plug, I know you've been working on a special or something like that. Do you want to tell the people?
Yeah, I'll be at the Comedy Store tomorrow night, January 5th, if this is released before then. If not, it was a great show and I killed. If this is out Saturday. And then I'm working on my special, basically, if you remember from the Comedy Store Wrestling podcast days, for the last about year and a half, I've filmed about literally 35 hours of a documentary on why I don't have a comedy special. and it involves me going to like my grade school, my high school, my college, my childhood home in Bel Air, and just talking about my early days of comedy, going to certain rooms that I used to do. And so it's going to be a unique special. It might be the longest special ever released because, like I said, at least the first hour will be the documentary. I mean, we have probably out of the 40 hours we've shot, at least 25 hours is usable.
Jesus Christ. Just make a TV series. Fuck it.
I mean, it might be. I mean, that was brought up to me and it's an award-winning documentary maker who saw me at the Comedy Store, and that's how it got started. And then Ryan O'Neal, very well-liked comic at the store, is like, I want to produce it. So we've already shot the beginning, which is an homage to the Sylvester Stallone movie Cobra.
Nice.
And even the documentary maker was like, bro, this is the most genius thing to put this right in the beginning, because this tribute to the movie Cobra is going to weed out your fans from the non-fans in about 10 seconds. And then we're going to do the special. We've got some potential places. Sadly, it probably won't be at the Comedy Store because I want it to be special. Like, there've already been, I think Sarah Tiana did her special there. Taylor Williamson, Ari Shaffir has done multiple specials there. Gerard Carmichael. I've got a place that visually is stunning, that even if you don't know who I am, you will stop and watch just based on how the set will look. But if you want to get a taste of my comedy, if you go on my YouTube page, which is just, I guess, / Earl Skakel, there's a lot of new clips up. And hopefully that is like an appetizer. And I'm really easy to follow all over the internet. It's just Earl Skakel everywhere.
Well, I believe this video will be on your channel too. So you guys, if you're already watching this, you're probably either on my channel or Earl's channel at this point. So just go click on the other videos, and that applies to both of us. Just click on the other videos.
And I do a live stream every Sunday night where it's like an open forum. It's usually about 7 p.m. my time, where it's like an interactive talk show. We talk wrestling, we talk movies, we talk comedy, and really anything that the people in the chat really drive the conversation. So that's usually Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then periodically throughout the week, I'll hop on a live stream and, get that super chat money.
Oh, yeah, buddy. Congrats on getting monetized. I know that's a big deal.
Well, I still haven't, if I can rant about this for 2 seconds, like, I've had like 7 people trying to help me to get your channel monetized. As you know, on YouTube, you have to use a thing called AdSense. And they are now telling, I'm not monetized yet. I'm capable of it. Because they are saying I have to shut down my other AdSense account, and I've never been on AdSense before in my life. So it's not a very easy process, but I'm, through the help of several people who have successful live streams and super chats, they are helping me. And I will never ask my fans for super chat money. A lot of people, it's like, you've seen it, bro. It's like online panhandling.
Oh yeah.
It's really just, hey, if you think I'm funny, pay me for my funny. I'm not asking for donations or anything, but I've done comedy, Eddie, probably for 20 of the 25 years for free. So it's not, I'm paying for my own special too. I'm not doing a GoFundMe or whatever, but if you think I'm funny, maybe throw me a few shekels.
Yeah, hell yeah, I approve of this message 100%. Earl's a hilarious comedian that you need to see live. Go to the store and see him. It was an honor to have you by my side for a year talking wrestling, but you know, I ain't going anywhere. So hopefully we can do more stuff down the road. If you're watching this on Earl's channel, follow me at RRBG Podcast. I have a comedy show January 31st at Knucklehead. Hey, you should come film your special at Knucklehead.
But I mean, we're looking. But people would watch. I mean, I'm going to shoot for this one place in particular, but like, you know, people, because I'm going to use like 3 to 4 high def 4K cameras. This is not going to be like you in the back holding my iPhone.
Yeah.
So, you know, because it's a joke I do on stage, but you know, all specials do look alike. You know, so I really, obviously, I hope people stay for the jokes, but I want them to stop and go, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah. Well, shit. Yeah, so January 31st is the next Riffs. Come hang out at Knucklehead in Hollywood if you see this. I'm also doing, you know, random mics and shows around town whenever I can get them. But follow at RRBG. I'm going to start posting more interviews now that the new year is here, and I took my little sabbatical for like 3 weeks. So there'll be more content coming. But Earl, dude, thank you again for your time. And I'm going to let me come over and help you out with your tech work. And
Jesus, dude.
help you out.
If you can come over this weekend, I mean, or whenever, like, they don't make it easy. Like, I don't want to bore people with the intricacies of AdSense, but I've done everything right. You know, I had my friend Jordan the Lion, who has the #1 travel vlog. Like this, no one knows YouTube like this guy does. I gave him my password. I gave him my checking account info. I'm like, dude, because I trust him. Like, we're very good friends. He's like, you've done everything right. So it's frustrating, but I'll take your help, to be honest with you.
All right. Well, I'll swing by. Everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Cheers.